How many of you believe?
Sorry about that. I'm recording. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Thank you. How many of you believe that you are a leader? And Dr. Adley, you can keep tabs.
I will.
You know, because we will.
I see a lot of hands going up there. Jasmine.
Okay.
Oh, everybody's hand is up. Good.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
How many of them are still excited about their chosen career as a nurse professional?
Okay, let me see those hands. It looks like about, oh, good. Wow, awesome.
How many?
It looks like it's about 50 or 95% of them, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
And then how many of you believe that Dr. Adley is the best professor in this program? I want you to send some love up to her.
You're putting them on the duress.
It is rough, but she made us good.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Well, you know, the reality of leader is that it's going to be rough, but if you stick with it, you're going to make it. And so a leader's job really today is not just a position or a title, but is someone who looks into the future and see the organization not as it is today, but as it should be. And I know that for all the leaders on here, you know exactly what you would like to see the hospital, the medical facilities to look like in the future. How many of you can say that? How many of you saying, boy, when I become a nurse, I'm going to change this. When I become the head of this department and I become the chief nurse and the director of nursing, this is what I'm going to do. And I want us to be candid, to be open. And of course, we're not judgmental. We want to be engaging as much as possible. How many of you still want to be a leader? How many of you know that a leader's job is just not 9 to 5. It is constantly you're on the job. How many of you are prepared to give up your time and sacrifices to be a leader and to be a good leader? Today, I want to just briefly, and I'm not going to get into too much right now, but what organizations are looking for, and in the healthcare professional in particular, we have realized that COVID-19 has changed the whole dynamics of how we communicate, how we do business, and what do we expect from our employers. And so in this series, and I'll call this a series, I want to say that if you're going to be successful as a leader going forward, and you are all leaders, there are some skills that you must have. One, you must have relationship building skills. You must be agile and adaptable, staying on the cutting edge. You must be innovative and creative. You must know how to manage conflict and get wise counsel. You have to be a critical thinker. You have to be thinking out of the box. You have to ensure that you are the right fit for the right job. How many of you know people who are holding some top positions, but they don't know how to get along with people? They don't know exactly how to talk to you. They don't know how to, they're not courteous, they're not polite, but they're in charge. Do any of you know any persons like that?
Unfortunately, yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. All right. So do you think that is something that you want to emulate?
Nope.
No.
No. No.
If I were to ask your peers to describe you as a leader, how do you think they will assess you? Because we judge people by our intent. We intend to be good. We intend to do all of this. But how many of us know that people really look at you and assess you to determine exactly based on the qualities that you possess? How many of you can say, and I'm going to ask a question, and this is not to be judgmental. Let me ask for two of you who can tell me two leaders that jump out in your class. You know that they're always taking the lead. They're always willing, they're always ready, they're ready to serve. Tell me, just two persons.
I would jump out there and I would say one of my group members, Cedrica Adderley. And
Okay.
then I would also say Ariel Leach, like for sure. Those two.
What do you think makes them stand out?
They are always like very willing to jump in and do what's necessary. It's not a matter of, oh, well, I wasn't supposed to do that, so I'm not going to do it. If they see it needs to be done, they're going to do it. And they are always taking accountability for their actions.
Oh, very good. Very good. Anyone else? Very good.
Hi, yes, ma'am. I would like to say Ashaki Gibson. Yes,
I
girl.
double that.
Right? Ashaki.
Yes, I own
I
Ashaki.
agree.
She's
Okay,
honestly,
wonderful.
Always kind of on the ball, right?
Wonderful.
Uh-huh.
Wonderful.
And
That's
then
good.
Weech for true. I like Weech.
Wonderful. That's very, very good. And so obviously you recognize some qualities in them. And so as we look as leaders, there are some other qualities I want to share with you. And of course, we will have to come back to this in another level. Time management. If you're going to be a leader, you need to be organized and you need to be on time and not always asking your professors for extension or, everything gone wrong. And so he couldn't turn in my assignment. You have to be organized. You need to plan your day. You need to manage your time. Do not spend so much time on social media or fooling around. And then when your assignments are due, you're not ready. You also have to understand the 5 pillars of emotional intelligence. And we're going to talk about that. And then you must be honest. You must have good work ethics. That means that if your class starts at 8, 7:45, you should be in position, ready, organized, and ready to meet your clients, your patients, or to meet your professors. You also need to understand what it means to work together in teams. You need to also work on your human relation skills. It's very, very important. How do you get along with people? And I'm not going to ask you to call anybody names, but do you know of anybody that anytime they come in an environment, there's always a conflict? They always get a problem. They always creating a problem. Do any of you know anybody like that?
Yes,
Sometimes
ma'am.
it's right in our families. Sometimes it's right in our families. And sometimes it's when you go on the job and as you become, when you are promoted and when you move on, you're going to find that you're going to have to supervise people who you're going to always have challenges with. So you have to learn your human relation skills, your customer service skills, your work ethics, your integrity, documenting what is true, speaking the truth, and always being at your best, making sure that when you show up to work, your uniform is clean, you're well presented, and you're ready for the job, and you have a professional presentation. So if you are leaders, remember, leaders give hope, purpose to meaning. They are clear about reality. They are authentic. They demonstrate that they care and genuinely concerned. They empower persons, and they also create opportunities to ensure that their employees or their team members are succeeding. They advocate for their employees and their teams that nobody is going to affect the team I am in, and whether that is at the university level now, or whether you become the supervisor or you join the team, you always need to know that your team is your team and you need to be confidential. As leaders, you must be confidential. Confidential. And you must learn as leaders, bring people together in spite of the challenges that you may have. And as leaders, you're going to have to make some tough decisions. And sometimes you may say that, why are they making this kind of decision at the university? Or why is Dr. Adley being so tough on us? Well, you know what? If you're going to grow and develop, some tough decisions may have to be made because many times persons are slunking and playing around with their careers, with their life, and with their studies. But at the end of the semester, they want an A. And you cannot get an A if you are not functioning at the leadership level. Bringing all those skills together, staying focused, managing your time. And I can tell you, if there ever was a time that we need leaders in our country, and not just leaders in our country, leaders around the world, because some of you may have the opportunity to travel in other countries and jurisdiction, and your leadership skills are transferable. As Dr. Adley was saying earlier, the Sophia model is universal. Well, I'm so glad she said that, because that's a springboard on which I wish to speak. Your behavior, your attitude is universal. You cannot see yourself in any format. Remember, someone is always watching you. And so if you're going to succeed in your career, then you must understand the qualities of a leader. Mind you, a leader is not a position, and a leader is not just a position or a title. It is your work attitude, work ethics that you bring to your organization. And so whether you're a student, whether you're a parent, whether you are a leader, whether you are employed, all of these skills are universal and transferable. And the research has shown that persons who have these qualities and are consistent are the ones who succeed in their careers. And so I will have to come back to you on the whole concept of leadership at another time, but I really now want to get into conflict resolution. Doctor, can you give me a shared opportunity to share my screen? Can you give me the capability to share? Hello? Okay. This
You
evening,
guys, everybody went to sleep? Okay, that was a question. Go ahead, Ms. Mason, ask the question again.
I think she meant you, Dr. Adley.
Yeah, she
She's
was.
asking
Oh,
to
you
share.
meant me. Oh,
yes.
I thought you meant them. Okay,
No,
go ahead.
I want a screen sharing capability, please.
Okay, sorry about that. Oh, okay. I thought it was a question for them.
Oh, no.
My
No,
vice-
not right now.
well, see, okay, I probably sleeping. Okay, go ahead. You good.
Okay, so this evening, can you see my screen?
No, ma'am.
No,
Not
No,
yet.
not yet.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, let's see if we can get this technology right. Okay, are we good?
You can see it.
Okay, all right.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this evening we're going to talk a little bit about what is conflict and why does it occur. We're going to talk about the elements of conflict. What is conflict resolution? Why should you resolve conflict? Tips, healthy and unhealthy ways of managing conflicts, the goals, and again, a little bit about myself. Well, Dr. Adley has already done that. How many of you have had a conflict in your life? How many of you have had conflicts before? Any of you?
All of us.
Yes, ma'am.
And
Yes.
how does it make you feel? Is conflict good or bad?
I would say both.
It can be
It
both, I
depends. It
guess.
depends on the situation.
Yeah, it depends.
Okay. Well, you know what? Conflict it's good and it's bad, but it must be a learning experience that you are able to learn and resolve the conflict so that you don't continue with the conflict as you go forward. So when we talk about conflict as defined by Webster says it's a sharp disagreement or opposition of ideas or interests. Now, conflict occurred, okay, the pandemic came. Persons were saying the government should shut down. Person say the government should open up. The person is saying that the hospital is overcrowded. Wasn't that conflict at the national level? Because some people
Yes,
want it this
ma'am.
way, some
Yes.
want it that way. The small business person is saying, we ain't making no money. So didn't that become a conflict with the government?
Yes.
And so how many of us have conflicts when our children, and I know all of you too young, you don't have any children, but many of you who may be in relationships, have siblings, have friends involved in church that have conflicts. And conflicts always occur when people are together. When there's difference in cultures, it can create conflict. And as we know in our country, we're very diversified. We have persons from all different nationalities. And then there's some of us who are against certain nationalities. And we create conflict with those nationalities and vice versa. But it is wrong, because we must always look at the human being. Where a person is born should not be a defining attribute to say whether or not I'm going to like that person or not, or why they come to my country, why they ain't stay in their country. Well, you know what? Why do we go to the US? When we get our degree from the University of the Bahamas, we want to go to the US to make what? More money, right? But we don't always understand that persons are also looking for a better life. And so let's embrace each other with respect to avoid conflicts. So we first of all need to appreciate diversity and ethnicity of people. Nobody has to create conflict, because where people are born, it's beyond their ability to say otherwise. It just could happen. So when conflict arises, there is a tendency for morale to be lowered. There's increased absenteeism and decreased productivity. I'm speaking to you as leaders. When you see people are constantly absent from school, they're not coming, they're not doing their work, not performing at their levels, always think and realize that there is conflict. We in the Bahamas have lost more than, I think the dollar value was almost $2 billion in productivity in the workplace as a result of absenteeism and productivity. And many of it, the research showed that it was a result of unresolved conflict. I don't like my supervisor, I don't like my boss. But as a professional, that should never be your state of mind. So factors in the healthcare industry. And like I said, these are all transferable. When conflicts arise, it can be in the workplace because of poor communication, weak leadership, a change in leadership, sometimes a change in government, dissatisfaction with management style, or person seeking power. This is also so in your classroom. If you have lecturers who do not communicate well, who have weak leadership, who don't come to prepared, who do not understand how to deal with everybody in their own level, and otherwise, it can create conflict. Because you know what, you start to say, I'm not interested in going to Dr. Adley class because she don't know how to treat people. She don't know how to talk to people. So you internalize to the point that it becomes a conflict. Now, the conflict is on your side, but on Dr. Adley's side, there is no conflict because she's performing and doing her duties to the best of her ability, or she thinks so. That is why evaluations are so necessary in the end, during the class periods at all times. Disagreement is a common reason for conflict. How many of you are in relations and you've had disagreement with your boyfriend, your husband, your partners, your mother, your father? How many of you? You know, you can put your hands up. You can just put your hands up. Haven't we all experienced conflict? Whether I should go out with him because he ain't give me no flowers on Valentine's Day, he ain't buy me the phone I wanted, he didn't do this, he didn't do that, or he is saying she ain't this and she ain't that. So there's conflict. And so, you know, many people mad today, but I know nobody in this class mad. Everybody happy because they got what they want, right? So the fact of the matter is conflict always will occur because there's always a disagreement. And that is why it is important that you know yourself and understand yourself when conflict arises. The elements of conflict involve power, organizational demands, and self-worth. And many people are always fighting for power in the relationship. Well, I'm the woman and I'm in charge. I'm the man, I'm in charge. Organizational demands, I am the boss and you just reach. You're a rookie nurse, you just come. You even ain't wearing full uniform yet and you won't come and tell us how to do. And then could also be your self-worth. How do you see yourself? Are you confident and competent in your area? Because one of the things, it does not matter how qualified you may be. If you do not have self-worth and confidence, you will always going to be in conflict with other persons because you're jealous, you're a hater, and you just think that you all of that and a bag of chips. Power. When we talk about power, this is when people in your environment use their influence upon you. What that means is that I just want the job done. I just want the assignment. I don't care if you don't have no electricity. I don't care if your car breaks down. If I need this done, I need it done. But that can go either way. However, power is good if it's used properly. Power can also develop conflict. And so one of the things that organizational demands are that employees and as nurses, as you enter the new world, that you're going to be disappointed in what you think you're going to meet. Yes, it may be a great opportunity for you to get into the organization and of course work your way through. But you must realize that organizational demands are going to be expected of you. It's no longer going to be a situation where you're going to be babysat. If you do not perform at the level of the organization, you are going to be written up. You are going to realize that there won't be any increments coming. You will probably be disciplined in some which way. And sometimes you don't know who you're going to be working with. But if the organization is saying, we're going to work 12 hours a day because of the demands, and you have a problem with that, it will create conflict. And that is why communication is going to be so important as you transition. It is always, even now, it is very important. Your self-worth. Self-worth is the individual self-esteem or value of yourself. Do you have your own self-esteem? Or do you think when Remy hair, eyelashes is going to build your self-esteem? It does not. It does not build your self-worth, because if you need these material things to give you self-worth, you're going to find yourself in a very bad position constantly trying to keep up with the Joneses. And you're going to find that you have to have your own self-worth and be able to build your self-esteem. As nursing professionals, you must always have your, again, nobody can give you that. Things can give that to you. That is something you have to develop. And you have to develop your self-worth as a nurse, as a healthcare professional, based on your network, the people you're in, what you're listening to, and the environment in which you work. So when you reach into that organization, you're going to find all types of people in there. And they're going to be smarter than you, prettier than you. Their Remy may be better than yours, or whatever type their eyelashes may be mink and yours may be strips, whatever it is, the fact is that should not define you as a professional. What should define you in your self-worth is being the best professional that there is and to perform your job to the best of your ability. And I encourage you that if this is not the right profession for you, get out, because you're going to cause lots of problems. So the feeling of loss of self-worth will arise and can create conflict. So you need to know, who are you? Who am I? Why am I here? And always realize that you have values that is beyond what persons can deal with. So conflict resolution. What is conflict resolution? It is a way two or more parties find a peaceful solution to a disagreement. The disagreement may be personal, financial, political, or emotional. And so all of these conflicts come in our personal lives. It also affects us in our personal lives, our professional lives, our love lives. Because I can tell you, when there ain't no money to pay the bills, there's going to be conflict. And you know, as adults, you can say, well, you know, I ain't checking for him no more. When you find that it's political, whether you wear green, red, blue, gold, whatever color, it can create conflict. But the art of conflict is being able to sit down and discuss in an effort to resolve. And so we need to look at negotiation skills. And sometimes you have to find someone who can help you through that process and help you, guide you through. Am I thinking wrong? Am I doing wrong? Maybe my attitude was wrong. The way I said it, my tone. That's a big, big thing. The way we speak to each other, because we need to be mindful that our tone, our speech as healthcare professionals must be always savored and sweet. You know, you cannot go on as a nursing professional saying, well, this is how I always was talking. This me now, and I can't. Listen, you won't last very long, and you will be in lots of conflicts and arguments, and it will not go well with you in your profession. When you're dealing with your patients, they're going to come with all kinds of issues, problems. And if you yourself are not confident and have your self-worth, you cannot help your patients through their cause or to healthiness as a result of it. So first and foremost, you have to know your tone, and you have to have strong communication skills. That's a cause for another day. But as leaders, your communication skills must be always sweet and must have salt on it that will always bring healing and not destruction wherever you are. So always remember that you have to negotiate through conflict resolution. Yes, she said this. Yes, she said that. But you know what? I value this relationship so much that I am not going to allow our relationship to be destroyed because of. We learn to forgive and forget on that. But that's another aspect of leadership. How should you resolve conflict? Understand the conflict. Why did this conflict come about? Communicate with the opposition. Brainstorm possible solutions and resolutions. How can I work this out? We talk a lot about domestic violence. We talk a lot about gender-based violence. Trust me, a lot of it is a result of unresolved conflict. We do not know how to communicate. We let everybody else come and tell us, if I was you, I'll handle it this way. If I was your girl, I wouldn't stay with him. My mother done tell me you ain't nobody. I can't be with you. See, that creates conflict. But when you love and care for someone, the values, the relationship, the position, your job, you learn to find ways to resolve conflict. And when you're unable to resolve the conflict between yourselves, you need to find a mediator or an ombudsman who is able to direct you into the conversation to reduce the stress levels and explore alternatives on how to resolve the conflict. Tips for resolving conflict. Always remain calm and avoid becoming defensive. As healthcare professionals, like I said, be it in your personal life, your professional life, remain calm and avoid becoming defensive. Do not take anything on personal. Well, you know, I from this area and she from this area, and we always had a beef. She went to this school and I went to that school, and because I was smarter than her, listen, remain calm and avoid becoming defensive, because you may find that that is going to be your next supervisor or that may be your manager. Remain calm and avoid becoming defensive in your relationships, be it at home, at school, or at work. Choose a good time and place to talk. Listen, when conflicts arise, do not respond when you're hot and angry. Wait until you know that you're at your best emotionally to resolve and to talk with sense. Choose a good time and a place to talk. If you know that you had a bad argument, or you're on the ward and you've been spoken to badly, or vice versa, you need to ask your supervisor, good afternoon, is it possible for us to talk tomorrow morning when you're in early? And can we talk in a private place? Because I want to express some things to you that I'm really affected by. The way this was done, or the way you spoke to me yesterday. I do not like the way you disrespected me, or you made me feel as if I'm nobody. And these, and your supervisor, your manager, your partners, your family will appreciate that. So you want to do that in confidence. Be open to creative solutions. Remember, sometimes you're not even aware that you caused the conflict. Your body language, your attitude creates conflict. So be open when your supervisor, your loved one, your professor tells you, you know, you have a very bad attitude. I don't have no bad attitude. You have the attitude. Listen, take it and listen. If you want to be better, if you want to be that leader, then you have to find those creative solutions. Talk about issues and not people. If you're going to resolve conflict, do not bring any third and fourth parties. Well, I see you let Nurse Johnson did this and Nurse Smith do this, and every time it comes to me, it's always a problem. Listen, that is not your problem. You talk about the issue that affects you, and you do it in the right tone, you do it in the right place, and you do it in the right environment. Use I statements. Dr. Adley, I am very sorry for the way I handled that matter in the classroom. I am very sorry, Dr. Johnson, for the way I treated you. Patient, I am sorry if I didn't come to your bed when you called the first time. I do apologize. I'm sorry that I didn't get the water that the patient asked. And you build that as a lifestyle, because that is a way of resolving conflict. Because if you have a patient who is hospitalized, they think that you're the only person that you're responsible for, and rightly so. However, you have to manage that through your levels of emotional intelligence, and we're going to get to that in a minute. But you have to understand that you use the I, you take responsibility. Well, they ain't bring the water up here yet, or they ain't bring the medication. What you want me to do? I'm so sorry that the medicine hasn't arrived as yet. As soon as it comes, I will bring it to you. Whatever that is to your patients, you always have to ensure that that is done. You take responsibility. The child, you know how they go around here. They never have supplies around here and this and da, 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 da. Listen, I'm so sorry, because this is your job. This is your career. You must take responsibility for your career and your job. Acknowledge points of agreement. When there's conflict, always come to points of agreement. Yes, I understand I was wrong. Yes, I'm always late, and I really apologize for that. I plan to do better. Describe your emotions. I'm very upset right now. I don't want nobody talk to me. I don't even want my children around me. I don't want nobody, we say, mess with me. Because emotionally you are unbalanced, you're upset. So it's okay to describe your emotions, to say that at this time, and again, we're talking about tone, I'm unable to handle this matter because I am trying to work through another matter. Be specific in describing what you need in terms of resolving conflict. As a healthcare professional, you need to be specific. What is it that you need? In your personal relationship in your life, if you were with this man for 15 years and he ain't married you yet, and he's causing conflict because everybody else around you getting married or whatever, you know what? Tell him, listen, you know, now you got to follow this whole cycle now. You know, make sure it's the right place to talk, be open, use the I statement, describe your emotions, and indicate really, I need to get married. Now, if we're going to get married, I need to know when and how soon. So I was saying is be specific. You want to be promoted, be specific. I really would like to be the director of nursing. This is my career choice, and you'll be working towards it. Describe and be specific. Listen carefully and restate what you've heard. Okay, so you want to get married. Is that what I'm hearing? Yes, that is what you heard. Is it, you're always late? Yes, I do apologize. I'm always late and I plan to do better. Always restate what you've heard in order to resolve any conflict. Do not say, yeah, I hear you, whatever. Listen to me. That creates a double conflict. So it's very important that we look at these tips for resolving the conflict. How should you resolve the conflict? We talked about that. Understand the conflict. Communicate with the opposition. Always find ways and how you're going to handle that. And again, know how to cope with the pressure, because conflict can cause some things that we've seen violence in our country. So it is very important that you understand that. Healthy and unhealthy ways of managing conflict. Unhealthy responses to conflict. You're explosive, you're angry, you're hurt, and resentful actions. You withdraw your love, which results in rejection. Isolation, shaming, and fear of abandonment. You flatten the tire, you ignore the person, you block them off the phone. Listen, all of this results in rejection, and it can cause, and you end up in policeman's hands. So be very careful on how you respond to unhealthy forms of conflict. When you're talking about unhealthy responses to conflict, it really looks at the inability to compromise or see the other person's side. Remember, you're not always right. Always be open to listen and hear what the other person is saying. You may be thinking you're right all the time, but as you succeed and grow and develop in your career, you're going to find that you're not going to be right. Many times you're going to say, I'm really sorry. When you leave university, you're going to realize that Dr. Adley was really the best thing since iPhone. You will find that, you know what? I really valued her. And so you're going to realize that it takes time to process these things. Your healthy responses to conflict. The capacity to empathize with other person's viewpoint. You must be calm and non-defensive and respectful. I don't care who she is, she's a junglist, what she think this all about. You have to be mindful and respectful at all times if you're going to resolve a conflict. Remember that there's emotions on both sides, and you must be respectful to everybody, whomever you meet, your patients, your colleagues, your professors, the person at John Bull, the person on the street, always remember that other people are going through other things. And so you as a healthcare professional must be aware, vigilant, competent, and empathetic towards it. So you have to learn to negotiate how to improve and not hurt the relationship. You have to find skills and solutions, find parties and persons to whom you can agree and talk with. And know that we are here to help you grow in the office of the ombudsman, but also to ensure that you know how to resolve conflicts. And so I'm going to stop for 2 minutes here and ask you to let's talk a little bit about what I said, and then I'm going to jump right into the 5 pillars of emotional intelligence. Are there any comments or questions from my leaders at this moment?
Good
Have you
evening.
ever-
I'll say something.
Okay.
You go, Shaki.
Oh, I was just gonna ask if you ever found it particularly difficult at some point to practice all of those things in any of your negotiations?
Oh, yes.
And how did you handle it?
Oh, yes. But listen, you know what? I've learned very early to appreciate that people are different. I've learned, and I do not compromise on respecting people. And of course, I learned to use these same strategies to allow me to resolve it. Because for me, I want peace at the end of it all. I want to value my relationships. I want my relationships to be respected, and I want persons to always be at their best. So yes, I practice this, I live this, and I encourage you all to find a mentor, find a coach. If you need that person to help you, if you're struggling with anger, if you're struggling with issues of unresolved conflict, reach out to the Office of the Ombudsman, find a mentor, a coach, your pastor, a friend who values you and want the best for you. Do not go to a friend or a colleague who always live in chaos. They always in crisis. And there are many persons that they say that opposites attract, but then they attack. So be mindful of the people that you're attracted to. Any other questions? Any other questions, any thoughts?
Yeah, I wanted to interject. That's a very good question, Ms. Gibson. I just wanted to follow up with that, Ms. Smith. Even though isn't it a process? Like if you were to look at yourself 10, 15 years ago, because, our students here today, they are about to enter the workplace, and then they're about to engage in a practicum that's associated with this course. And so they have to be able to carry some of these skills with them. And so they're new. And, if you look at your old self, years ago, and you say, I would not have handled it like this. What brought on the new skills, or what brought on the new principles for you to help get you to this fine-tuned point where you are now? And how can we help the young, students who have not even entered into the workplace yet? Some of them are just, employees at this stage, maybe working as a PCA or something like that. But for those who are going to be managing the wards in another few weeks, what can they do to help build that skill?
Well, first and foremost, I wish I had time to do introspection and inventory skill of yourselves, and to assess yourselves. Do I get angry quickly? Do I blow my fuse quickly? I think you need to determine exactly who are you. And I said that earlier. What type of person am I? And I think that is very important. I think for me as a young person, I have always wanted to live peacefully and to have healthy relationships. For me, that has always been important. Now, it hasn't always been that way, but I can tell you through my spiritual journey with God and with good friends, strong family values, they brought me to my reality quick. I would say that you have to be mindful of the persons who speak into your life. For me personally, is that when I had a problem, I would reach out to a mentor and coach and says, you know what, this is how I'm feeling. I really do not like the way I'm feeling. And then they would take me to some tips or some nuggets. But for me personally, I can say that whenever conflict came, I withdrew and I became quiet. I just didn't want to talk about it because I didn't want to confront the conflict, because it was always told that, you know, conflict was bad. And so as you mature and you go through, you pick those battles. Like I said, your career is very important. Your patience is your priority. Your career is very important. So you need to now practice. How do I speak to people? You know, how do I speak to my colleagues in the classroom? How do I address Dr. Adley? How do I deal with this situation? And so if we had more time, and I hope that I may have another hour another time where we can walk through these to do an inventory of yourself, but you have to assess yourself and evaluate yourself. Some of you on this call will say, you know, 4 years ago, boy, listen to me, I had to deal with that in another way. So we're constantly in a state of growth and development. Find those positive people in your life that you can go to when you're feeling stressed, when you're feeling angry, when you are emotionally out of control. You find those persons that could talk sense in your head. Don't say, child, go get one gun, go get one hitman and take him out, or, you know, or be very mindful what you listen to through music and what movies you watch. Because if you are angry and you're into this kind, you know, the devil will make you believe that you're going to get away with the murder or with the crime or whatever. It will show up. It will show up. So let's be honest with who we are today, and let's identify those areas that are weak and need help, and get the help that you need. Because when you go out there and those evaluations come back with unsatisfactory reports, you don't know how to speak to persons, your tone of voice is awful, you always sound like you're arguing, you're always in a state of unpreparedness. Listen, it creates conflict because your supervisor has an expectation of your performance. Dr. Adley has an expectation of you. And if that expectation is not met, it's going to cause a conflict between you and her when you do not qualify to graduate. And she does not sign that form that says, you didn't meet the criteria. Your overall evaluation was poor. And that will happen. And if you don't deal with it now, you will find that you will continuously be bucking heads and go through a career that will cause you not to be successful. I don't know if I answered it.
Yes, you absolutely did. As a matter of fact, I just want to piggyback on that. One of the things I did instruct the students to do is to find a mentor, you
Okay.
know, and, you know, we say it jokingly. What is the abbreviation now? WWJD or something like that? Was WWJD? Yeah, what would Jesus do, right? So Jesus is your mentor. So when you get into that situation, you say, well, WWJD, what would Jesus do? Your mind. So whoever is your earthly mentor, you know, you just think about that individual. You say, what will Blank do at this point? You see,
Yes.
And because Blank had already made the pathway for you, and you've looked at his whole life, just say Barack Obama, I'll just use that. Everybody, you know, and is in awe of him and what he did and how he's accomplished and so forth. And you want to be just like that. And you say, I wonder what Barack would do. And if you could come up with what he do, you would one day be in those footsteps. Not necessarily a president or whatever, but something, someone who's accomplished, you know. So your network, the people you hang around with,
Yes,
definitely gonna tell the tale. Yes.
And you have to be mindful of the people. Again, listen, if you remember now, and this is a little segue, as professionals right now, even with you in this class, you should be coming to class dressed as if you were in the actual classroom. That's what leaders do. You come class prepared, not laying in a bed, acting as if you are a patient already. You have to begin to perform as if you are being assessed. I don't know you, you don't know me, but I could see from observation who just tolerating this presentation for whatever, but those who are very much engaged. And that is how your employers are going to see you. They know who the high flyers are. When you come to class, come with your lipstick on. Come as if you're coming to meet that, you don't know who you're going to meet on there. Your next employer may be there. So all
Is that a freeze on her side or is that me?
I think
I
it's
think
just
that's
a.
I think it's her side.
And I can tell you, those who achieve greatness are the ones who prepare and organize themselves for it. And I say that that's separate and apart, but be careful who is in your network and who's in your environment. Come to class ready, excited, rested, prepared to give Dr. Adley a challenge. Read up 2 chapters ahead of her and ask her a question that she may not even know, but I know she knows everything. But you know what? Impress her. Impress her, show her that you have the capacity. You know, because the conflict will happen is that when the time for your grade to be an A and you get a C, it can be a big conflict. But Dr. Adley, I've been to class, I do this, I do. Did you participate? Did you send your stuff in on time? Was your attitude right? And so you're being assessed as a student even now. So be very mindful of all of that. And so it creates conflict. I know you're all adults, everybody get their whatever going on, but I can tell you as a tip, always be prepared and show yourself as that professional even from now. Practice doesn't make perfect, but practice will change your lifestyle, your attitude, and everything that you do. So you got to practice a lot of things. And so I want to take another 15 minutes. Can I rush quickly through emotional intelligence?
Yeah, sure.
Can I share can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So we're going to talk after this. We're going to have a talk after this. And so I want to talk a little bit about what is emotional intelligence. And I won't go through all of this, but there are 5 pillars of emotional intelligence: self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, relational management. And I can tell you as healthcare professionals, you have to be mindful that there are always conflicts. We talk about that. There's going to be communication issues. There's going to be group conflicts. There's going to be all kind of unfair treatment and bullying and all kind of things happen. Sometimes it's going to be, you're not going to understand the policies and processes. So you need to get the help that you need. And so what is really emotional intelligence is the difference, the quotient that separates emotional quotient and the intelligent IQ quotient. How many of you have heard about IQ? Boy, his IQ is high, or his IQ, or we call them, if the IQ ain't high, we say they dumb, or they just borderline. Emotional quotient is that level of emotional intelligence that is critical to the success of your career. And I need to just break it down for you so that you know that when you have let me say that your emotional quotient and your intellectual quotient, it should be balanced. Because you have some people who are so smart, they don't know how to get along with people. They don't have no feelings. They don't have no emotions. They cold as ice, like we say. And as you enter your profession, you're going to need to have your technical competence and your degree of intelligence functioning as well as your emotional stability. Listen, people will be attracted more to your emotional intelligence rather than your intelligence because you're dealing with people. And so when we say that people who have a high degree of emotional intelligence, they understand and know what others are feeling. You will feel the pain of your patients. You will feel the pain when you hurt someone. You will understand the emotions of when persons are crying. You become aware of how to handle and how this affects people. So your emotional intelligence should be equal to your intelligence. There are people who have every degree on like the thermometer, and nobody wants to be around them. They mean, miserable, disgusting. They just don't know how to get along. Do you know anybody like that? All they have is qualifications and they think they're smarter than everybody, but they do not know how to get along with people. Think about it. Who is more likely, sorry? Who is more likely to succeed at taking your organization forward, being the director of nurse? A leader who shouts at their team when under stress, or one who stays in control of their emotions and those of others and calmly assesses the situation? What do you think? Think about it. Which leader would you prefer? Now you're all leaders now. You're all leaders now.
The one that stays calm.
Okay. How many of you would say that you have a calm demeanor?
Yes.
I do.
I would.
Okay. How many of you think that you're loud and boisterous and put people under stress? Nobody hand gone up, right?
I don't think I'm either of those.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask you after this assignment is to assess your strengths and your weaknesses as it relates to your emotional intelligence. Do you think you'd rather have every degree, or you'd rather be balanced with your emotional intelligence? Okay. As leaders, you must understand that your emotional intelligence is vital for success. The research has shown that persons who have a high level of emotional intelligence are the ones who succeed to leadership positions faster. It is an important characteristic for anyone at any level of an organization, especially those who occupy positions of leadership. We're all leaders. And even if you're a student now, you are a leader right where you are. You know exactly what needs to be done. Our leaders' emotional intelligence can have sweeping influence over their relationships. Some of you maybe can't keep a boyfriend or girlfriend because you're always erratic and, oh, it's my period on, or, whatever. We use a lot of excuses to justify our rude behavior. But I can encourage you and say to you today that as you transition into the healthcare profession, no one is going to tolerate that. You need to manage your level of emotional intelligence. How you manage your people and how you interact with people in your workspace, your patients. How are you handling them? And you have to be cautious and you have to be aware of how and what your behavior is. There are some people who are just always talking. They never stop talking. All they have is noise, and they are very cold. 5 pillars of emotional intelligence: self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. And I'm going to just quickly run through this very quickly. Self-awareness. How do you see yourself? You see with this mirror, this cat thinks he's a cat, but in the mirror, he is a lion. Self-awareness is the ability to understand your own emotions and their effects on your performance. If you are not aware of your behavior and your emotions, you're going to have lots of problems in resolving and unresolved conflicts. You need to know why you're feeling a certain way. What is making you feel that way? What is hurting you? How are others affecting you? What pisses you off? What upsets you? What is really your problem? And you need to be self-aware of those triggers that affect you and your behavior. You need to determine what it is. Some of you have had to do group projects. Some of you have had to work in groups, and you may be, persons are supposed to do their contribution in their assignments, and they don't do it. And for some of you, you are angry because this person always just showing up late, always have an excuse, not doing it, and then everybody gets the same group points or grade. That, your self-awareness of becoming angry at that, you must be in control, because there will be other situations when you go out on your what did you call it, Dr. Adley? When you go out in the wards and you go on practicum, you're going to realize that some of you are going to be working in teams, in groups. You need to be self-aware of who you are. Are you really thinking you are a nice, furry little cat? And then on the others, people are saying, she's a lion, he's a lion. Difficult, cannot work. So see yourself. Take some time and analyze yourself. I really what I think I am. And being self-aware will make a difference in the way people see you and how well you get along with others. Self-regulation or self-management is the second of three key areas of emotional intelligence. Self-regulation is concerned with how you control and manage yourself and your emotions, your inner self and your abilities. How do you respond to your impulses? Yes, someone makes you upset, affect you. How do you respond? Do you respond or you react? What that means is self-regulation or self-discipline. To know that, you know what, you don't have to respond to that. You don't have to curse that person. You don't have to be negative towards that person. You manage that. You manage that so that your performance and your ability to do your work and to perform at the highest level of a nurse is activated. So you got to take some time to know yourself, because if you're not self-regulated or self-disciplined, your performance is going to be affected, your environment is going to be affected, your emotions are going to be affected, and you know what? People will start avoiding you. And for others, on the other hand, who are now not self-regulated or developed or disciplined or manage their emotions, they're now in the Fox Hill prison or in that other healthcare facilities. So I'm saying this to say, nothing exempts us, but we have to learn these techniques and understand ourselves. What triggers you? You need to be careful. Again, emotional intelligently people are motivated by things beyond external rewards like fame, money, recognition, and acclaim. Instead, they have a passion to fulfill their own inner needs and goals, to be the best professional healthcare in this country. That calls for my motivation, whether they pay you the overtime or not, or they send you to the right location, or they send you on the children's ward when you wanted to go to the male's ward, or they send you to another facility that you wanted to go to. Listen, God has a plan for your life and God makes no mistakes. So take the approach that you're self-motivated, and wherever they place you, there's something to learn in every experience. Oh, I know she never did like me. She just doing this to me because, or she putting me with this person because they know we don't get along. Well, this is a good time as a professional to get along with others. We must be empathetic. And part of the emotional intelligence is how empathetic are you? Always put yourself in his or her shoes. When we tell someone that we're concerned about them, always be empathetic. When we're empathetic, we hear, we listen, our heart is alive and involved. We're connected, we're present, we have the feelings, and we are connected to the persons. And so we can say, you know, I understand. Yes, I understand. I am so sorry to hear what has happened to you. I'm so sorry that you are sick, but be assured that while you are here, we're going to take good care of you. You empathize that person. I'm so sorry to know that you've lost a child or your relationship. I'm very sorry for you, but I want you to know, as my friend or as a colleague, I stand in support of you. You don't go around, child, that's so good for her. She think he was this or that. Listen, as healthcare professionals, I'm saying you need more empathy rather than sympathy. Sympathy is not necessarily the right, well, there's a place for sympathy, but empathy is where you need to be as a healthcare professional. You don't have to sympathize. You need to be there to encourage, motivate, and ensure that your patients leave your care with regard to healthy and whole. And relationship management includes your identification, getting the coach. It includes how you encourage people, how you communicate, how you lead with others. Are you honest? Are you building relationships? Are you working well with teams? Or are you the miserable one? Yes, you're in charge. Yes, you have the highest GPA. Yes, all of these good things. But is your attitude right with people? Do people want to be near you or far from you? So skills you need to develop in this process is being open. Identify the people you want in your life. What are the skills and the qualities of people I want in my life? How am I going to manage it? Analyze people's behavior. And sometimes people may be going through different things at different times, and you will see that in your patients. So you need to analyze, is this patient really just want all my attention? Is this patient very lonely? Does this patient really just need someone to rub their feet or to speak a kind word? Because let me tell you, at some point, all of us will, and I pray God not, that we'll have to go in a hospital at some time or the other, to have a baby, to visit someone, to serve, to lead, whatever that experience is. Always know that they will remember you based on your human relation skills, the way you made them feel, the way you served them, the time you took, you informed them. Listen, yes, the doctor is expected to be in at 9. However, he's running a bit late because of an emergency, and I can assure you he's going to be here as soon as he can. Is there anything I can do for you? Are you comfortable? Do you want another glass of water? Do you need to use the restroom? Is there anything? Is everything okay? This is what we need to be talking about as healthcare professionals when we talk about relationship management. And if this is something you don't have already, skills you have, and as young professionals, you need to get a coach, someone who can give you that 360-degree feedback, who can analyze you and your interpersonal skills. What type of person are you? Are you in the wrong profession? How many of you have gone to a store and you've gotten poor customer service? How many of you have experienced poor customer service in John Bull, in Kelly, at Kentucky, overseas, anywhere? You know, how many of you have done that? So as leaders and true leaders, and I'm going to leave this with you and we're going to have a conversation. Leadership is about making others better as a result of your presence and making sure that impact lasts in your absence. So whether you're not on that shift, the patient will say, I still want Nurse Major. I wait until Nurse Major come because I miss her. She takes good care of me. And I want each of you to have that kind of impact to your patients in your personal lives, that they will say, you know what? This class that came out is the best set of healthcare professionals that we've ever had. Leadership, you said you're all leaders. Like I said, it's better about making others better as a result of your presence. And your presence means that you have to be all together in position. That means your attitude got to be right. You have to be organized. You have to have your empathy down pat. You have to know how to understand the patients you're serving. You have to understand the environment in which you work. You have to know how to respect each other. And you have to make sure that whenever you leave that ward, you leave that position, they will know that Nurse Major was there. I don't know why I'm calling Nurse Major so much. I don't even know. But Nurse Major is there. I don't even know if there's a major here, but so that's very important. So as I wrap this up, remember that true leaders don't create followers. They create more leaders. So as you go forward in your career, there are going to be another group of nurses who are coming up. You set the boundaries of what those leaders should look like, because you are going to function as a leader. You're not going to function, well, I just reach here and they only paying me this amount of money and they won't get. Listen, you are a leader, whether you're making $2 or $5, you've chosen this career. Your education is free. You need to give something back with gratitude, but it also depends on your character. Your character, your work ethic is going to be the ingredients that are going to help sustain and transform the healthcare professional. So a good objective of leadership is to help those who are doing poorly to do well, and to help those who are doing well to do even better, by Jim Rohn. So I say this to you as the leaders, the future leaders in this country. Some of you will be the directors. Some of you will probably be a minister of health at one time. And it's not impossible. But if you carry these fundamental qualities and tips that I've shared with you this evening, I do know that you are going to make a difference in this country. And I want us to leave with this. Leadership is about making others better as a result of your presence and making sure that impact lasts in your absence. I thank you so very much for this opportunity, and I'm welcome. If we want to talk about some of issues, we can talk about it as long as Doc gives us the time. I don't know exactly how much more time we have.
That's fine. Anybody has, and I'm sure they do. I see Barry has a response. He says, ladies opposite attract and then attack. So Barry, you want to expand on that? That's the only thing you got out of this this conflict resolution. Go ahead. Anybody want to?
She said that.
I know she did. I know she did.
Okay.
I know it. You really caught on to it when she said it. But how do you see yourself as an up and coming leader, Barry? And what is the male perspective? Do you think males just have the dominance and women step back and allow them to take charge?
Well, in the nursing profession, I mean, it's more women than males. So as nurses, we sit back and we listen more than lead.
So what about come lift this patient? Barry can take this bag. Barry can move it. I mean, you have your own patients. Come on, how do you resolve that?
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
remember, you are all starting at the same level, and you have to respect each other in your respective roles. You are no less than the female, and the female is no less than the male. We're talking about equity here in terms of your career. So if you're working together, I'm just going to say this, that I'm going to, Tedrica she looks very conscientious. She looks like she's a smart girl, smart nurse. I don't know, but I'm saying if she looks very administrative. If she is going to be the nurse who's going to be writing the notes, and we have Charika, who is doing the evaluation or assessment on the patient, they should be able to complement each other to ensure as a team we've accomplished everything that we've been taught. So if Tedrica has the administrative skills, and Sharika has the technical skills, or one has more of emotional intelligence and one has more of intellect, you can, you handle this today and I'll handle that tomorrow. And you can alternate roles so that you can learn from each other in the process instead of competing with each other. Because you're not to let your patients are not to ever see you arguing, fighting amongst yourselves at any given time. As I said earlier, find a place to talk. If you have a challenge with your peer, find a quiet place to talk. Invite that person for a cup of coffee in the cafeteria, a cup of tea, or buy a Vitamalt, because I know you all only drink Vitamalt and Gatorade. So, you're just gonna drink that, right? I see Jamaica smiling at me, like, you gotta be joking, miss. Vitamalt? You gotta be joking, Deidre saying, yeah, she joking, she's really funny, But whatever it is, be able to resolve your issues amicably and peacefully. I can tell you, you'll live longer and you'll have a happier life. Do not carry any unresolved conflicts and baggage home. Try to work it out. Try to deal with it. Do not be revengeful. Try to resolve it, even in your personal relations in your personal relationships and or your family relationships. If your mother or your father has offended you, you said, Daddy, can I have a word with you? I really didn't like the way you handled that matter with mommy, or I didn't like the way you treated my sister. And sometimes parents are not even aware of what they've done. And sometimes as parents, they still see you as children, even though you're adults. And sometimes we can talk to us and it can be condescending, and that creates a conflict as well. But now that you have some skills, you can say, Mom, when you're sitting down watching TV or whatever, Mom, can I have a talk with you? Is there any reason why you always talking to me like this, or making me feel as if I am nobody, or making me feel that that you don't love me? Is there any reason why you don't show any love to me? Is there any, and whatever, because we all battle with something. We all have something going on. Even if it's your boyfriend, or girlfriend, why are you always talking down at me? Why are you always stalking me? Why are you making me feel as if I am not to be trusted? Why? And you need to sometimes understand those relationships. And we talk about relationship management, because sometimes many people come from different backgrounds where screaming and shouting is normal. Conflict in their environment is normal. But in your environment, where you grew up in Sunday school and Sabbath school, and you grew up in an environment where it ain't too much noise and all of that, or whatever, it can be mind baffling and battling to you. And again, you will meet those same patients in there, but you need the skill set to help you maneuver through. But I see greatness in all of you, and I'm expecting you all to shine. I see greatness. I really see greatness. And I really want to say I'm so happy that our country is in good hands. I see some hands up. Tomia?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I have a question for you. You mentioned something that was very good. You said some people have different backgrounds, most of the times where they were brought up. where they live. However, say if you're at work and you're dealing with a conflict, and say you speak to the person about it, you communicate, but they don't want to communicate and solve the conflict. What do you do in that case where you're trying to talk to a team member, but they don't have time to talk in? They don't want to talk. They don't want to solve the conflict. So what do you do in that case?
Well, thank you for your question, and that's a real good question. Remember I said, find the right time. Do not attack it right away. Sometimes we want to resolve the conflict right there and then, but sometimes that is not the right time. Sometimes you need to blow it away and let the steam come off of it, and then you come back at it in the right way. Sometimes it could be you could write a little note and says, Dr. Adley, can we talk about the way you gave me this F and I, I deserve a C. But Dr. Adley is working based on what she has in front of her. And you're working that, oh my goodness, I did this or I didn't do that. And so it's good to find the right time when Dr. Adley is at her best, or your colleague is at the best time, when he or she's relaxed, or just allow it to go. And then after a few days, you said, you know what, Nurse Megan, the incident that happened the other day, it's really bothered me. Can we talk about it? And wait until the right time. But if you hot and the person hot too, listen to me, that's fire. So wait for the right time. Even in your personal life, in your personal relationships with your parents, you don't answer your parents right away. You wait until, because if it was like my parents, you'd be teethless. But, so I would say that you want to practice these little skills, not to respond word for word. I know some of us could be sassy, not in this class, but there's some people who, they don't have no control over their lip, over their mouth, whatever comes to their head, they say, and then they regret it afterwards. But what is written is never forgotten. What is said, so be careful what you speak. Oh, be careful, little mouth, what you speak. Don't answer all the time. Sometimes stay quiet and stay silent until the appropriate time to address it. Nurse Gibson.
Oh, my question was it was similar to Tamia's question, but I was going to ask if you ever were in a situation where say like it's two parties involved, and one of the parties just they're not receptive to any of your negotiation tactics or your resolutions, like they refuse to find resolve in the situation. Like, how do you manage that? Like their perception does not allow them to see the wrong in it.
Very good question. Thank you so much, Nurse. What I have found, that happens all the time, but what I have found that you have to find something we agree on. I remember I talked about it. What is something that we agree on? And you know what? You stay working on what you agree on. And then sometimes you have to then, let that meeting come to an end and bring back persons together in another 5 days, 7 days. And I found that it works then, because persons would have had a chance to go back, reflect, and come back. And you say, you know what? I feel so stupid. I can't believe that I was holding on to this, and it really doesn't make any sense. And now I understand where I made my mistakes. And so you always have one party who's willing to forgive and one who's not willing to forgive. But over time, depending on the tactics that you use, that you will find that persons will come together. So it's strategies. So even like in industrial, in the real work world, when things don't happen right there, you can't get consensus or you cannot get agreement, you just leave it alone and come back at it. Set a new time and let's get it going.
Okay, we have.
You're welcome, Malia.
Yeah, we have these. We'll take these last 4 hands. And
Okay.
we'll call it Delancey, Gator, John, and then Major.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to say that every nurse, no matter what level or your title is in an organization, every nurse should have empathy, compassion. Every nurse should be responsible and have integrity. So, like I said, no matter what your title is per se, we should all have some kind of conflict resolution skills and be compassionate and empathetic when dealing with others, basically.
And you're absolutely right. And congratulations on even reinforcing that. That is true. But the reality of it is, it's not true.
Yes, like you said, everyone
You know?
is a product of their environment. So it's like
Yes.
you have to self-reflect and you have to
Yes.
build your own emotional intelligence and understand what you need to work on personally so that those attributes can become a part of your characteristics personally.
I mean it. I mean it. I am so proud of you, Malia. Very, very good. Let's give it up for Malia because I mean it. She's ready. She's ready. She's ready. I love it, Malia. Malia, you can teach this course next semester. You know, that is really good. You did a good job on that. Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Great.
Okay.
Okay.
Gator.
Next.
Gator.
Okay, good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
Something that you said really stood out to me in regards to conflict management, where you said the person would like the leader would sit down and like for negotiation to see the other's point of view and where to see where they went wrong or something that they said that was offensive, to see like the opinion or the view of someone else. And one of our recent assignments was in regards to the dimensions of nursing leadership. And one of the dimensions of a nurse leader is his or her ability to hold multiple perspectives without judgment. And the fact that you said, even in the case of conflict, you negotiate to hear what happens. I mean, like to hear someone else's point of view. I really like that, because sometimes, like you said, some things what I may see, what I may perceive as wrong or I may perceive as offensive may not have been offensive in someone else's case. And the ability of the nurse leader to sit down and to listen to what others have to say, it will help the nurse leader to be a better leader, because it'll also create like an open environment whereby the staff and the other people are able to come to the nurse and to leader and communicate their feelings or communicate what happened without having the fear that the nurse leader would judge them or things of that regard. So I like how you pointed that out, like with negotiation, even in conflict resolution. So that's just something I wanted to point out, the nurse leader's ability to
I mean,
get the perspective.
Dr. Adley, you've done a great job with this group of students. I'm so very thankful, Ms. Gator, for your kind comments. And I see a lot of strength in you as well. I can see you in the classroom. You look like a good lecturer, professor, but I appreciate what you're saying, because, and the reality of it is, let's say that a patient dies on your shift, just and you will have those experiences. And then someone says, well, if you had done this, maybe they would not have died. And it's the same thing with Mary told the Lord, if you was here, my brother would not have died. But the reality of it is that you're dealing with a lot of emotions at that time. People are a lot of things, investigation reports have to be written, but how you handle that will determine exactly your level of emotional intelligence. And of course, you're able to document and you're able to communicate that without fear that you did your best. Always know that you did your best. And being able to manage that relationship, even against all pressures and odds. And I really, really appreciate what you said. I thank you so very much, Ms. Gator.
Crystal, this is the last question. Go ahead, Crystal.
Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to ask, I know you mentioned previously about like group work and not being, I guess, lenient with group members, especially those who have like different situations that prevent them from, I guess, performing to your standards. But I wanted to know, what about in situations where you make a plan as a group, everyone puts in their input, and then they don't perform? Like this is your grade as well. Are you supposed to just do the work and allow them to I guess, slide through to keep peace, or what's your opinion?
Listen, I can relate very well. Very good question, Crystal. Nurse Crystal. Very, very good question. Throughout your life, you will be in groups. You will work in teams, whether it's with a medical team, whether you're in the theater, you'll always be working in teams. And there's some people who will never carry their weight, but they get the same increment at the end of the year. The fact of the matter is that in where you are now at the in your schoolwork, there's usually a group leader, right? So that group leader has a responsibility to say to Brittany, to Ashley, to Julia, and to Barry, if we want an A in this program, you have to set the foundations right up front. We are going to meet on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. in the cafeteria every Wednesday until we get this project done. You may wish to break up the assignments. Well, someone may say they'll do the typing. Someone may say they'll do the research. I will gather the research and I will lead. However, depending on what's involved. And everyone is given that assignment. And you need to hold them accountable through time management, organizational skills, and to ensure that they do what they need to do. Now, for the leader, and that's why when you're in groups, don't pick anybody to be the leader of your grade. Don't let anybody just because they won't be the leader. Make sure this person has some qualities and some skills that will help in getting the, but so if the leader realizes that 2 or 3 of your team members are not pulling their weight, you have a responsibility to let them know. You also have a responsibility to advise your professor that you're not getting the cooperation and the support, and your grade is not going to be affected because of them. I've been in groups where I've had to end up doing the project because I wanted my grade and nobody was going to hold me back. But I learned that I will never want to pop them in my group anymore. Now, as a leader, there are times that persons are going through some serious situations. And so you may have to change the roles around and say, instead of you coming to the meetings, we will put all the work together and you type it, format it, whatever. So each situation is different, but one of the things you want to do as a leader to always embrace and empower and encourage and inspire. When you find that that is not working out for you, then you need to take that to the next level. And or you tell that person that they can't come back to your group and you're reporting them. And or what I've done in the past, if there are 4 of us and everyone gets 25% and only 3 of us work, well, you know what? That person is going to get 0. And I will divide those 100 points into 33 1/3 for all of us. And that person gets nothing. And you can justify that inside of it. So again, you want to be smart. You want to exhaust all of the possibilities to get that person involved and to ensure that he or she gets a grade. Life happens, things happen. And if you know that this person is dependable, you can work with them, you can trust them in another aspect, then you can do that. But there's some people who are lazy. They want to work to McDonald's, Wendy's, they want party, they want to go to every event, but they don't want to put the time in because they know that Crystal is going to make sure we get an A. But everybody has to carry their own weight as it relates to team projects. Even in your work environment, everyone needs to show up for work on time. Because when you do not show up for work on time, it's more pressure on someone else. When you don't do your job, it's more pressure. When you do not perform your duties as a nurse, the patients are going to suffer. And that is not your intent. So you want to use your emotional intelligence to become aware of what's going on. Always be aware and alert. Find out exactly what's going on. In everyday life, always practice self-awareness around you, before you, behind you, but always know that greatness is in you and no one person is going to stop you from getting your A grade. Or that double increment.
Double
Thank you
A's.
so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Marisa Mason Smith. And remember, students, that Mrs. Smith, Budsman, her office is open, her doors are open. She can be, you can find her email in the intranet, so you could just start typing her name, it should come up. There is something that's going to be, Ms. Smith, you want to repeat that again for Thursday?
Yes, on Thursday, there's going to be a session on conflict resolution. It's good. Can you see the screen?
No.
Okay, sorry. Okay, just let me just go back to this and give you this information. Okay, this is my contacts here.
Go up again right there. Okay, good.
Okay.
Okay, Marisa.Smith@UB. Okay, Marie, that's easy to remember.
Yes.
The Budsman at UB as well is also easy to
Right.
remember. So you're having an event on Thursday?
Yes, yes.
What
And so
time?
it's at 12 to 1.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. That's
And so
also
we've had
every
a-
bishop.
I want you all to always ask questions and always make sure that you get the right answer. And I just want to thank you. Thank you so much for your attention and may God bless you. And I see you all at the top.
Yeah.
I look forward to being at your graduation. I want to be at your graduation so I can shout
Yes.
and say, yes, yes, yes.
Thank you so
I know that person. I know Malia. I know Julia. I know Randisha,
Yeah.
you know, and Nadia and Tonya, you know, and Ashley.
Yes.
And so I want to be able to shout for you all in the deans with honors, all honors, all honors. Let's make us all proud. If there ever was a time that our country is in need of you, it is now. It is now. And I can encourage you, do well, inspire, encourage, and be empowered to be your best self today. God bless you.
Thank you so much. And before Tredrika, she has her hands up. I know she is dying to say something to you, Mrs. Smith. But before she says that, I just want to thank the students, the ones that stayed and they were very attentive, those that asked the questions, and those that participated otherwise. You all, when John spoke and you said something, I'm also impressed myself. They did an excellent job. They did an excellent job, and you made me proud as well. So go ahead, Tedrika, and let's have a closing. Adelie, go ahead.
You muted, Cedrico.
Cedrica,
You're
your mic.
muted. It's her mic. She has
Oh,
to
your mic.
do the browse
Yeah.
icon.
I think it's your headphones, Tedrika.
No, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so Dr. Marisa Smith, on behalf of Nursing 420 class, Nursing Leadership and Management, we want to thank you for such a inspirational, motivational lesson. It was authentic. It was highly reflective. It was so relatable. And I think you're staring at a group of leaders, and I think we learned so much from you. And I just want to thank you for your time. You didn't have to, but you did. And we really appreciate that time you put in today. So thank you so much.
And thank you so much. And thank you all for making the School of Nursing proud today, and for being a part of this. Mrs. Mason Smith, and thank you so much. Have a blessed night. And for the rest of you, we get to leave right on time. Remember your project for next week. It's due at 11 p.m. And I will be speaking to the other class on what needs to happen. Thank you all so much for coming to class today. Thank you. Mrs. Smith, thank you again.
Dr. Adley, I can ask you a question before you go, please.
Sure.
With the